We bring a perspective on a story here at home, and prospective students are being warned against enrolling at bogus colleges. Now, you would have seen reports of thousands of students scrambling to enroll at the country's institutions of higher learning, but also students who have studied and then found out only at the end, after having paid money and spent their time, that the institutions that they were studying at were not accredited nor even registered. We discuss this now with Dr. Mimmy Gondwe, who is the Department of Higher Education and Training Deputy Minister. Deputy Minister, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. This year, a record, it was over 300,000 matrics achieving admission to their bachelor studies, but there are only just over 200,000 first-year places available across all 26 public universities. We've also got 50 technical vocational education and training colleges, 149 private colleges who are registered with the DHET. It is, I think, conventional wisdom that there aren't enough places in higher education institutions to accommodate everyone who wants to study further. So we also have this problem of the proliferation of unaccredited and unregistered institutions. Maybe to start, how big is the scale of the problem, Deputy Minister? What are the numbers?
So let me start by saying that, as a department, we keep a register. We've got two registered. We've got a register of private colleges, and then we've got a register of private institutions of higher education. And these are institutions that are registered with the department. But what we also do, Iman, is to keep a register of bogus institutions or illegal institutions. And on that list, we just have a little over 100 that we've been able to identify. And how we do this is we would get calls. We have a call center that you can call to verify whether a college is registered or whether a private institution of higher education is registered with the department. And the number for that call center is 0800 87 222 222. We also, encourage learners and parents alike to visit our website, and that's where we keep the registers. And then we have, in my private office, I have a help desk, and the email address for that help desk is dmshelpdesk@dhet.gov.za. And just going back to how we identify how we were able to put those institutions on the list is that we get calls from learners and parents reporting that a college is bogus or illegal, and then we then do our own investigation as a department, and we ask that learners and parents who are reporting to then send us information to corroborate the allegation that they're making. And once we've done our investigation, we will then write a warning letter to that particular institution, ask them to cease and desist in terms of operating, and then if they continue, and then we also even give them a chance
if I can, Deputy Minister, I want to pause there because I want to break up the conversation a little bit. So that we just get a little more detail on some of those aspects. You talked about having a register of illegal or illegally operating institutions, and that number's around 100. I'm guessing, and we'll get to some of the detail a little bit later on, that number of actual institutions that are operating illegally is possibly higher. How much worse do you think it is?
Iman, because like I said, we depend on parents and learners to report these colleges once they've been able to determine that, once they suspect that they're illegal or bogus. So the number may be higher. And what we do from my end, and I was going to just say that before you cut in, was that we would report those institutions to SAPS, and then SAPS processes will then ensue in terms of, charging those particular institutions and letting the law take its course. So, Iman, unfortunately, these institutions tend to prey on learners, that are desperate for a position. As you said, we do have 50 TVET colleges, 26 public universities, but we also have community colleges, and we also have private institutions of higher education, which are, allowed to operate and exist in terms of Section 29.3 of the Constitution. But unfortunately, we still have, despite the department rolling out numerous public awareness campaigns. Last year, we had a campaign in Braamfontein because, Braamfontein is within the vicinity of Wits, and we know that these institutions usually prey on learners and will be found in areas where you have a huge university within the vicinity. And so we were in Braamfontein. We're rolling out further campaigns in February this year where we try and create awareness. And Iman, if you'll allow me, let me just get into some of the red flags around, identifying whether
Deputy Minister, before we get there, I want to stay just with the piece around the bogus institution. So there are two parts to this. Is one thing you're saying is that the department can only react to reports from the public. So somebody might see some of the red flags you're about to share with us, worried that this institution isn't accredited nor registered, and they come to you or they query a certain institution. So there's no mechanism within DHET to be proactively monitoring or looking out for these institutions.
Oh, yes, there is, Iman. There is. We have legislation. So what we've done from our end, we've tried to regulate the space via legislation and, and the relevant regulations. So we have the Higher Education Act, we have the Continuing Education Act. Coupled with the legislation, we have an administrative framework and standing operating procedures in relation to the registration of institutions. And we also monitor and evaluate these institutions. So private institutions, for example, are required to submit their audited financial statements and tax clearance certificates to the department. And I also mentioned that we conduct these awareness campaigns, and we do them, regularly, in terms of, and then we conduct those awareness campaigns with the local municipality officials from the local municipality as well. In that way, they will help us in terms of ensuring that, that space is regulated and, if needs be, colleges shut down. So we do go on the ground. As I said, we are planning to go on the ground in February, this year as well. We did it last year as well. So we are very proactive. But like you said, once we give we report a college to SAPS, then we let the law take its course.
And how effective has that process been in terms of the bogus colleges you've identified, and then in conjunction with the SAPS managed to shut down and arrest the operators? I'm just recalling a figure from 2021. I think the Department of Higher Education and Training identifying 89 bogus colleges in South Africa, filing cases around all of them with the SAPS, and I think in some instances where there was some international footprint with the FBI as well in the US. But what has been the outcome in terms of actual arrests or potential fines for those who are clearly breaking the law?
So, Iman, I think our awareness campaigns have been very effective. As I said, we are always accompanied by city officials. Last year we were accompanied by City of Johannesburg officials, and Iman, I also have to point out that these bogus or illegal colleges, their operations are usually linked with other acts of criminality such as money laundering and illegal immigration. And what I have done is also written to the Minister of Home Affairs to request that we have Home Affairs accompany us as well. And I've also written to the Minister of Labour as well. So, this requires, an interdepartmental approach, if you want to put it that way. But we also need members of the public to know that they too can go into their local police station and open a case against, a bogus or illegal college or private institution of higher education. And I implore them to do their bit of due diligence and to be careful and take the time to go onto our website, www.dhet.gov.za. That bit of due diligence can really make a difference, because, the risk associated with registering with a private college or a private institution of higher education that's illegal or bogus, you not only waste your time, your money, and other resources, but you miss out on an opportunity of getting a legitimate qualification. And we have a high level of unemployment amongst young people, and we would really like to see young people qualified at legitimate institutions.
Right.
I also have to differentiate between registration and accreditation. The department is responsible for the registration, but accreditation lies with our quality assurance bodies. So we have OMALUSI, we have the Council on Higher Education, and we've got QCTO. So Umalusi would accredit programs of private colleges. The Council on Higher Education accredits your higher certificates, your diplomas and your degrees, and QCTO would accredit your skills development program. So sometimes, Iman, what we do find is that a college is registered, but it would be accredited for course X, but then you find that it goes and offers course Y and Z, and possibly A, and those are not accredited. And so we encourage parents and learners alike, before you enroll as well, check whether a course or a program that you want to enroll in is accredited. And how you do this, you visit the websites of the quality assurance bodies. They also have call centers as well that you can call.
I want to go back to prosecutions and the shutting down of these institutions, because you can go to the extent of laying a case and working in conjunction with the SAPS. But these operators, if they know that there's not going to be any real punishment, they're not going to be arrested, they're not going to be made to pay these monies back to students that they have duped, they will just carry on with impunity, which is why I really want to get to some clarity around how many of these institutions have been permanently shut down. How many of these operators have been arrested, Deputy Minister?
So, Iman, if they are on our list of bogus or illegal colleges and institutions of higher education, then in our eyes, we've shut them down, we've reported them. And then we reported them to SAPS, and then the law will take its course. So we're trying our best to really ensure that, we work closely with other regulatory bodies so that we can really clamp down on these institutions. As I said, their operations are always linked to other acts of criminality, such as money laundering and illegal immigration. And yes, I think there are also processes underway in the department to implement stricter regulations, perhaps even have an MOU with SAPS that will see SAPS, playing a more prominent role in ensuring that some of these, all of these private colleges and private institutions of higher education will be permanently shut down. Because I have to admit, Iman, sometimes what happens is that, for example, last year we were in Jorrison Street in Braamfontein. We come across a college or a private institution of higher education, and we say to them, you're not registered, we don't find you on our register, and then we give them a chance to comply. And when they do not comply, then we open a case with SAPS. But what happens is then that college then moves to another part of town. And then we do have repeat offenders in that space. And I think that's where we need to strengthen our relationship with SAPS and ensure that SAPS plays a more proactive role, because they are, after all, a law enforcement body, and we are not.
Yeah, it does sound, like they're able to outsmart government on this, whether it is the department or whether it is the police as well. And I guess what I wanted to reinforce was, don't you agree that seeing the process to the end in terms of, what happens after it is handed over to SAP sends a stronger message? Because what we're hearing is, it doesn't seem as if the process is seen through to its natural conclusion. And this is why it emboldens them to operate with impunity and take advantage of students in the way that they have.
So remember, let me reiterate this. Perhaps I didn't state it clearly. When we put them on our list, we have confirmed with SAPS that we would like to open a case. Can you go ahead and charge? From our end, we've determined that indeed this particular college or this particular private institution of higher education is not registered.
All right, let's go back then to the red flags. And you've shared with us the help desk number. I want to reiterate that to our viewers. Just correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy Minister. 0800 87 222 222. And I think the email.
0800 Iman 87 222.
Okay.
And then the website, www.dhet.gov.za, and then the help desk for in my private office is DM's help desk at dhet.gov.za.
All right, we've got that projected to our viewers. So aside from going there, you're talking as well about looking at your database, also checking things like verifying the address the institution itself, looking at its website. Just share with us some other areas that parents and prospective students can go to or resources that they can use to try and confirm that where they're studying is actually bona fide.
A great resource, before I get into the specific red flags, is Hello Peter. Go onto Hello Peter as a parent or a learner, check whether this particular institution has been named or shamed. You can also ask 10 or more learners that were studying at that particular institution to find out what their experience was at that private college or that private institution of higher education. We also require that private colleges and private institutions of higher education display their registration certificate and accreditation details on the premises for everybody to see. So that's one of the things you could look out for. Also look at the quality of teaching and learning. Does the college or the private institution of higher education, for example, does it have computer labs? Does it have a library? Does it have conducive, lecture rooms? You can also look at the level of professionalism on the part of the staff. You can also inquire about the qualifications of the staff. So go to the college, ask these pertinent questions, and then have a look at the quality of the contractual agreement that you're required to enter into. Look at whether, for example, that particular agreement allows you to get a refund. And ask them whether they have an assessment policy in place. Assessment policy in terms of exams, in terms of assignment, and the like. So those are some of the red flags, specific red flags that you need to look out for when you make a decision about whether or not you want to enroll with a private college or a private institution of higher education.
Minister, when we again go back to the initial, Deputy Minister, when we go back to the initial context that we shared about just the demand and the need for lower cost higher education for so many young people in this country to get ahead, we again connect to the desperation of those students and the real suffering of families to be able to actually send them on. So thinking about those who've parted with money from these bogus institutions, in your knowledge and experience, have any of these affected students managed to get their monies back? Or, have they had to just kiss it goodbye?
No, we do assist. So what we normally do is we reach out so sometimes we do have, and I want to emphasize this, we have registered colleges and institutions of higher education, and a student, is not happy with something, one thing or another, and they want to then, leave that particular college or institution of higher education. They can reach out to us as well. We're able to help in terms of contacting the particular college or private institution of higher education to get the refund. But like I said earlier, we do encourage parents and learners to also go to SAPS and open the case. And where you have paid a refund, we encourage you to please approach the small claims court so that you can try and get that refund, provided I think it's less than 12,000 Rand. And then after that, you can come to the department so that we can investigate the matter. So that is the help that we can help once a parent or a learner has registered and paid a fee, and then they want to get the money back.
Dr. Mimmy Gondwe, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it. She is the Deputy Minister in the Department of Higher Education and Training.